Okay, so today we're talking about the benefits of buying used physical media. So whether you're just getting back into collecting, you're new to the hobby, or it's something you've been doing for years, buying used physical media is something that I didn't think of initially. I've only been really doing it for the past 7 years. I mean, when I was a kid, I know I went to a garage sale and I bought a couple of VCR tapes, but I didn't even think anything of that. I'm talking about like since I've been a serious collector, and that's been going on since I was 16. So we have close to 30 years of collecting movies. And basically, once I bought my first DVD player, I was just buying DVDs. I was going to the brick and mortar stores, Best Buy, Circuit City, every single Tuesday and just buying DVDs. And then Blu-ray came along and then 4K came along. And I was always buying new. About 7 years ago, it was a happy accident. We just happened to just go into this thrift store on a whim out of sheer boredom. And in there, they had an entire shelf filled with old VHS tapes. And so after the initial like shock of seeing a VHS tape, again, and, some of the movies that we grew up with, my wife and I, we gave it a little chuckle, but then that same day we found VCR for $6 in the thrift store. So we picked that up. It worked. And we grabbed a bunch of Disney tapes. And the reason we even did that was because my youngest daughter, she was just born. And I was remembering when my older kids were about toddler age, they were extremely rough on my movies. And things got broken, scratched, fingerprints all over discs. And I didn't want a repeat of that. And so I was like, oh, it'd be really cool to, give her these VHS tapes and have that in, her room and her movies and not have any real issues. And it worked out great. But every weekend we started going back to that thrift store, and then we started finding movies that we liked, and the nostalgia kicked in. We grabbed a couple of tapes then. But one of the things that was awesome was these tapes were 50 cents, sometimes $1. And, to rent a movie digitally, you're looking at $5, $6 on average, depending on what you're renting. Sometimes they're cheaper, but on average, like anything worth renting is in that higher price range. And so for 50 cents or $1, we're able to basically rent a movie. If we didn't like it, we could drop it back off at the Goodwill or, another thrift store, depending on where you are. And over the years, I have picked up some awesome hidden gems. Definitely there's some films, nostalgia for me where I picked up, and there is no other format. Maybe there's a DVD or it's out of print, but there's no Blu-ray, there's no 4K. And so having, used physical media, DVDs, Blu-rays, you can buy used 4Ks. I have definitely found quite a few 4K movies at the thrift store, and I'm picking them up for like under $5. So this stuff is out there. It comes up all the time, and it's a great way to save money while physical media collecting. Like there's tons of conversation of this is expensive, it's an expensive hobby, and then if you have a movie and you want to upgrade, like it starts to get really crazy. A really inexpensive way to do it is just to go to the thrift store. Now these movies right here, now the majority of them were blind buys, and they don't have another format, or if they do, like it is a DVD and it's harder to find the DVD. Like this one here, I bought out of pure nostalgia. I saw this movie when I was a kid. I loved it. My dad owned it, and it is Burglar. Now there is a DVD of this one, but I picked this up for 50 cents and I've enjoyed it. I give this one probably a yearly watch, and I'm hoping that a Blu-ray comes along sometime. But out of all the Whoopi Goldberg movies, I only have two. And this is my absolute favorite. I love this film. High recommend if you have not seen it. But Burglar, Whoopi Goldberg is a master cat burglar, and she gets mixed up in a murder, and then they think she might have done it. You got an early John Goodman is also in this film, but all around classic movie. Now here's something that was a complete blind buy, and as far as I know, there isn't a DVD. Now this was put out by Buena Vista Distribution Company through Anchor Bay. So Buena Vista, it's Disney. This might just be stuck on VHS. I don't know if this is available on streaming, but we're talking about Midnight Madness. And there's a young Michael J. Fox in this film. And I think that's why I picked it up in the first place. But it's a scavenger hunt film, and I like those. There's quite a few of them that were put out in the 80s, and this one here, It's Disney's version of it, and I really enjoyed it. All around, good time, good family film. It is PG, but it's also PG in the 80s, so there might be some stuff that's like mildly inappropriate, but overall, it's a decent family film. Now this one I just picked it up yesterday. $2 on DVD. There is no Blu-ray. I double checked because I thought somebody had mentioned that in one of the live streams that this movie never had a Blu-ray. And so I had been wanting to revisit it. And it's Sugar and Spice. And I just picked this up yesterday on DVD. And $2. I don't know what the going price is for new, or even if this is out of print, I'm not even sure. But whatever it is going for on Amazon or eBay or wherever you can get this movie, I got it for $2. It worked flawlessly. Beautiful picture. And it's just nice to have. Nice to have. Now, granted, it could use a nice restoration, a Blu-ray or a 4K, but if you haven't seen this film, it's a bunch of cheerleaders. One of them gets pregnant, and it's like a goofy comedy, but then they go to rob banks to help out the pregnant cheerleader, and it was fun. I love this one. My daughters love this one, and so having it on physical media for $2, you really can't go wrong. This one I paid a little bit more for because I didn't find it. This was a recommendation that I actively searched out. I found it on eBay. But if I had ever saw this movie, just the movie cover alone, I would have picked it up 100% out of sheer curiosity. So I'm glad it was recommended, but it's Why Me with Christopher Lloyd and Christopher Lambert. And it's a heist movie. I'm a sucker for heist movies. This one here is a little bit of a comedy. Really enjoyed this one. And they basically find this really expensive, like priceless jewel ring that belonged to like a royal family. They steal it, and then everyone's looking for them. The criminals, the cops, everybody's looking for this ring and looking for these two guys. And I really enjoyed this film. Now here's one. I picked it up, again, solely based on the cover. But then since I've watched it, I picked up the CED, which has the original movie poster cover, and I think I would have loved that. That's an amazing movie poster cover. But this one here is Neil Simon's Seems Like Old Times with Chevy Chase, Goldie Hawn, and Charles Grodin. And again, this was just a huge blind buy. I saw this at the thrift store, and you're looking at Goldie Hawn. I'll watch anything she's in. Chevy Chase, top notch. And so I picked this one up. And yeah, I absolutely love it. And since I picked it up probably a couple years ago. And so in the blind buy, I probably watched this one a dozen times or so now. And again, I would love for it to get a Blu-ray or a 4K release. I'm happy with my DVD, and I'm happy that I own it. But yeah, picking it up used, $2, I don't think you can go wrong. And again, it was one of those like try it before you buy it kind of things. Like, even though I love those guys, I love these actors. There's, not every movie is perfect. Even though you might like an actor or an actress, or, or a genre of film, this movie might have been horrible. But I really enjoyed it, and for the $1 or whatever it was totally worth the pickup. And then here's another one. This is another huge blind buy. It was Tilt, and it actually didn't have a case, so I had to have this case made. But it came like this, and it was, I think, like 50 cents. And like this, I have no idea what this is. And so it was Tilt, an older movie. It had the FBI warning on there. And knowing nothing about it, it was a mega blind buy. And it ends up being an old Brooke Shields film from the 70s, 1979. And it's not the greatest film ever, but Charles Durning is in this one. And it's a pinball musical is what it comes up as. And more than likely, the reason it only has this VHS release is the rights issues. And so that also becomes a reason why certain movies get stuck on older formats, is, it gets kind of lost in the rights issues and then almost forgotten about. But this is a great movie. I really enjoyed it. I know it's not for everybody. It's more probably like a one and done for most people. But for me, it's a great Saturday afternoon flick, and one that I highly recommend. Now, over the years of having this and talking about it, I've been made aware of, in Germany, they called this movie Flipper Queen, and there is a DVD that comes up on the internet, but I'm not sure if it's an official release or a bootleg or what it is, because there's not a ton of information other than the front image of it, and it's saying Flipper Queen in German. So other than that, these were just a few in my collection, but I have tons of DVDs and VHS tapes on this shelf over here that either don't have a Blu-ray, don't have a 4K. A lot of them are out of print and harder to find, or just at that more expensive price. Like very recently, I paid brand new for a DVD, and it was a Dutch. It was $20 I paid, and I felt horrible spending that kind of money because, well, one, I wanted it. Two, I'd been looking for it for years. I never come across it at the thrift store. It had a Blu-ray, but it's long out of print and crazy expensive. And so the DVD was 20 bucks. And then, you know, that right there was just very frustrating. So to find all of these other movies for $1 or $2 or even 50 cents, buying used physical media is the way to go. It's a way to save a ton of money, but it's also a way to try it before you buy it kind of thing, doing that rental. You're able to pick up a lot more blind buys and just try movies. And then if you don't love it, you just drop it back off, or you can trade it into the used bookstore. My local used bookstore has, they give you $2.50 per title. So if you're picking a movie up at the thrift store for $1 or 50 cents and you don't love it, and in my bookstore, their only stipulation really is as long as it's not, you know, an adult erotic film or has scratches. So other than that, they generally take everything. And so if I don't love it, I can just take it there, trade it in, get more credit, and then get more used movies. And like I said, I've been able to find amazing Blu-rays and 4Ks, things to fill holes in my collection for cheap. And there was quite a few. There was one day I actually had a movie in my cart. I was going to buy it, but I happened to just be going to the grocery store. I stopped at the thrift store on the way. The 4K movie was in the store for $2, and so that happens all the time. Now, there's a lot more DVDs available than you'll ever find Blu-rays or 4Ks, but I do find them, and depending on what area you might live in, you might have a bigger selection, because I know Brian over at Last Movie Standing always shows off his store that he gets to go to, and tons of old VHS tapes and stuff that, man, I would love to get into. But yeah, used physical media, I highly recommend it. If you've never really thought about it before, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know your experience about buying used physical media, many apprehensions, that type of stuff. You know, realistically, all you ever want to do for VCR tapes is to check if there's mold, and you'll see mold there. But then you can push this little button on the side, pop this open, and then see if the tape there is like all crinkled or wrecked up. But other than that, I've had a fairly good experience as long as there's no mold. And you'll see it right in there. So there's no mold on the VHS tapes. That's usually the go-to. But then DVDs, simple. You just open it up, you flip the disc around, you see if it's all scratched up, and then you buy it there. I've only ever purchased ones that have 0 scratches, no fingerprints. Like, I don't take it. Like, I'll just leave it and move on. But let me know in the comments down below what your experience is with all this stuff and your thoughts on used physical media. I want to thank you to all the channel members, and remember, the merch link is in the description of every video. You're going to want to check out this video right here for some movie recommendations. And with that, remember to watch a movie today, and I'll catch you guys next time.